Good evening, everybody. I see. For some reason, my laptop is stuck um, on restarting. It's been loading the restart thing forever. So I'm gonna have to start from my phone, which is a little while. I used to using StreamYards on my phone. Um, can y'all hear me okay? Oh, I would really like my computer to stop loading over and over. I might have to try it on my tablet. This is not the day for this to be happening. Not when we have a guest coming up. How y'all doing tonight, by the way? Yeah, I'm pretty good. Just checking this since it's a way smaller screen. Make sure I don't miss anybody. Or miss our guest coming in. Okay, well, there we go. Let me put the link in there for you, sir. Or put it back in there. I'm gonna have to bring myself in as a guest too. Okay, that link should be it. And then if you click that link, I should see pop up on the guest thing. I guess tablet it is today. Oops. Let's get something made up here. Can you hear me, Sergeant Major? Oh, I don't have the volume on this. Okay, cool. I froze up. Am I still frozen? Good evening, y'all. I know my tablet gets iffy with StreamYards. Am I still frozen on you guys' end? Okay. Oh, there we go. Add to the stage.
Let me pull your bio back up real quick. Why are you calling me on live? Good evening in the service. Just trying to get Sergeant Major on real quick. Good evening, Patricia, Glossy, Mimi, of course. Always first one in here. In here, you can before me. Okay. All right. Let's try to get it at the stage. I don't know why I can see you perfect at the bottom, but I don't know why it keeps on adding you dark. Let me give you a solo layout for a second. I can see you perfect at the bottom. Stop. One second, y'all. We're getting it together. Actually, let me re-put the invite. The link might be jacked up. I don't know why it's popping you up. I can see perfect at the bottom, but when you get on, it's all dark. There we go. Can you hear me okay, Sergeant Major? Okay. Can you guys see Sergeant Major okay? Okay, so y'all can't see him. StreamYard doesn't like to work with some people's stuff. I could start reading his bio, but I want to try to get him in here first. Wait, who's I not speaking nicely to? Oh, are you pre-warning me to be nice? I'm always nice. Mimi and Gloss just be on some other stuff. Add the stage. Cool. I think we got. Oh, we had it. Oh, speak nice to StreamYards. Forget StreamYards. Um, yes, I am. I was not confused by any means. Okay, I mean, I was confused, but because Mimi always got something crazy to say, and then you and Patricia be trying to back her up. Donna, we don't need you to add to it neither. Y'all just mean, but hey, it's okay. I'm used to people being mean to me. Let me think. I guess I only stream through StreamYard. I'm trying to think of the easy way. No, no problem, Sergeant Major. No, Gloss. Patricia said, "Be nice." Out of nowhere, telling me to be nice before I even did anything. I'm gonna give it 3 seconds, real quick, before I put you up there, just to see. Because for some reason you're there, but your name is black at the bottom. Everything else looks good. Oh, but now it turned blue. But then when you pop up, I don't know. This thing's weird to me. I'm not. StreamYards can get punched in the face, Patricia. I'm not the king of anything but my castle. Yeah, I'm not sure, sir. Sergeant Major, I don't know. I'm gonna take you off the stage and put you back up. Oh no, okay, you disappeared. There's a money sign in your way. What are you saying, Gloss? Oh yeah, I know. You're right. I don't know what this means. Show comments on stage. What? Oh crap. Nope. StreamYards, we ain't doing this right now. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I'd be one of the most unbothered human beings on this planet. Nothing annoys me unless I let it annoy me. Some things I let annoy me. Thank you. Man, my laptop's being weird. StreamYard is being weird. Let me think. I think I can put. I don't know if I have to do that beforehand. I think I can bring him into the studio as a co-host, but I think you have to set that up before. I'm gonna try this real quick. What upgrade? No. I guess I can't do nothing unless I pay for it again. Okay, Mimi. Right here, having issues. Well, they want me to live chat with them while I'm live. No, thank you. It's a little rude. I need this thing to work because I mean I know I know I speak of Sergeant Major often, but as I hope y'all know, there is a few Sergeant Majors. There's more than one. There's a whole bunch. This is just one of the ones I would like y'all to meet. I'm texting them real quick. Oh yeah, it is about dinner time. My bad, let me post this again so you don't have to fish for it. Well, outside of that, while we're trying to figure this out, what y'all got going on? Y'all got anything new? Anything new? Anything old? Okay, I see you moving around down there, so I think it should work this time.
How are we living?
There we go. Pretty
You hear
good,
me?
Sergeant Major. How about yourself?
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I got it, man. I just had to close out all the windows, brother.
You know, that might have been the issue with my computer, but now it's stuck, like loading on the restart screen. But yeah, let me introduce you to everyone, chat, viewers, people in the bushes. This is Sergeant Major Marc. I always get scared to mess up his name. Marc Chabot.
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 That's
See,
my
there we
brother.
go.
Yes, sir.
Now,
Thank you.
now I got to do push-ups. So I'm going to, or we can conversate, say with them a little bit. I have my three main questions that I told you guys about. But before I do that, I'm going to read off his bio right quick. A quick bio. Obviously, it's not his life story, but it's good enough. All right. Marc R. Chabot was born and raised in North. You might have to help me with this one, Sergeant Major.
Attleboro.
North Attleboro, Massachusetts. He had a very turbulent upbringing and made many bad choices navigating his youth. Oh, unbeknownst to him, hey, let me open my phone, make this bigger. Even though I got glasses on. I don't know why my font gets big and small sometimes. Excuse me, y'all. Okay. Unbeknownst to him, at that time, God placed a hand on his shoulder at 17 years old and guided him to the greatest organization ever assembled, the United States Marine Corps. Marc often states, "I needed the Marine Corps more than it ever needed me." And I think a lot of people would agree with that about themselves. While on active duty, Marc served over 27 years, 1993 through 2020, and retired as Sergeant Major. Marc was assigned to the following units: Second Assault Amphibious Battalion, DRPM, AAAB, MCRD San Diego, First Recruit Training Battalion, Drill Instructor, School Staff, Second Combat Instructor School Staff, Second Combat Engineer Battalion, Marine Combat Training Battalion, Security Forces Battalion, Kings Bay, Georgia, MCAF, Quantico, Recruit Training Regiment, San Diego. In his early years, Marc was an 1833 amphibious assault vehicle crewman. He credits the assault amphibian community for raising him, dishing out tough love and shaping him through his early years of service. In addition, Mark is appreciative to have partnered with many infantry units that forged lethal mechanized teams, lessons, and warfighting practices was taught. He served 4 combat tours in Iraq and Afghanistan and was decorated twice for valor. Bronze Star of the V, 1st Battalion, 2nd Marines, in an you're gonna have to help me with this name too. Place in Iraq.
Nazaria.
Oh, Nazaria, Iraq, and Navy for valor. Charlie Company, 1st Battalion, 3rd Marines, hit Iraq. Additionally, Mark served as a drill instructor, having the pleasure of making the Marine Corps' most precious asset. Our Marines, our Marines, the highlight of his career was leading sailors, a true honor and sacred responsibility. I took great pleasure in having meaningful discussions with people about certain life. Hold on a second. I shouldn't put this in until I was done reading this. Oops.
I think you're starting to
Past
freeze up
military
a little
service.
bit. There you go. All right.
I am.
Yeah, you were a little bit.
Uh-oh. Okay.
I got you now.
That's my tab. I hate you know, my computer. Oh, I might be able to start it back up. Past military service, Mark worked for Naval Surface Warfare Center as a liaison officer. He also hosts a media program called Left, Right, Right, Left podcast on YouTube. Check it out, y'all. I know Mimi put his link up top, and I also put his link in the description on YouTube. The content shares the experience and wisdom of great people, covering a wide range of important veterans, topics, and lessons. He also serves as a board member of the Amphibious Tractor Memorial and Association. Mark is most proud of his marriage of 23 years to Tammy, their 20-year-old son Grant, and her friend Whiskey, the Schulte boy.
Yes,
As a family, they can continue to pursue increased happiness for this. That is a short bio on Sergeant Major. Before I question asking, even though he hasn't said too much. Well, you know what? Before I ask you guys, y'all have any quick questions? Sergeant, would you like to say anything?
You're freezing up a little bit, Larry, and you're breaking up a little.
Oh man.
Just go to keep talking. We'll figure it out.
Okay. I'll just have you guys up in my face.
Yeah, you froze up a little bit.
One second.
Okay.
Ooh, sorry.
It's all right. It's all right.
If I can turn the volume down. There we go.
There we go. All right.
I'm going to get rid of me
right here.
Cool. And then y'all just going to have to be in my face for a little while because my laptop's being real weird. I was just saying, Sergeant Major, before we get into it. Oh, can you hear me okay with my phone?
I got you, brother, loud and clear. It's good to see you.
Okay. You too, definitely. Yep. I was just saying, did you have any words or want to say anything maybe before I got into the question and conversation?
Yeah. To the viewers, people that tuned in for Larry, if you didn't get the opportunity to watch me and Larry shoot an episode from my garage studio. Highly recommend you do that. Got the utmost respect for this man. Gave 3 limbs in defense of our nation, and he gets up every day. Puts his boots on, pulls them up tight, and goes out there and makes a difference. And inspires people. He greatly inspires me. So Larry shared a lot about his journey, about some of the details of his wounds and recovery, and it's really inspiring. So if you didn't see it yet, Left Right Left podcast, type that into YouTube, and you can catch your boy, him and I chopping it up in my garage. But pleasure for you to invite me on, Larry. Really appreciate the way you read the bio. Made it seem like I'm somebody extremely special. I'm just an ordinary, average American student.
There we go. No, it's definitely an honor for me to have you here. You're part of the reason why I decided to go ahead and move forward with podcasting.
Yes.
I have to remember
Sir.
not to look at this screen, look at this screen. But yes, well, definitely the people in the comments, they're telling you thank you
Yeah, I
and
appreciate that,
showing their
Miss Williams.
appreciation.
I see Miss Williams' comment and some others before we started the show. Thank you very much for saying that.
Definitely. And then so basically, Sergeant Major, I really just start out with saying, you know, who are you? Kind of like, you're. I guess if you want to get into a little bit of your childhood or teenage years or just younger years, what makes you you?
Yeah, man, like, all those things that you read are kind of like all the triumphs, and the successes and all the good things and that happened to me while I was in the Marine Corps, mostly good things. But it certainly didn't start out that way. I think I'm kind of living proof that, the effort, and care and passion will set you, on a path, to do greater things with your life. Because I was a hot ass mess when I was a young dude. I mean, I was all fouled up. My childhood was not good, riddled with abuse, drug use, humiliation, just lots of bad things, happening, within the walls of my home. Divorce, bad grades, didn't care, arrests. Just I was not doing well, and I meant that when I sent you my bio that the Marine Corps really kind of I don't want to say saved my life, but it really gave me direction and it gave me the things I need as a young man, to find a path to where I am today. And I'm so grateful for that experience.
Definitely. Some of those things. I mean, I definitely don't have the same amount of experience as you, but I can agree with some of those things for my personal life.
Yeah, man. I mean, everybody has a journey, right? And, everybody's is a little bit different and everybody goes through hardships and things. But, I saw some things when I was a child that you shouldn't have to see, seeing my mom, get beat up and seeing, just rampant, drugs. I mean, I've seen kilos of cocaine on tables. I've seen hundreds of pounds of marijuana in a garage that's getting slung by my father and my uncle, dealing drugs throughout New England. Just things that just you should not see. And probably the worst thing that you can experience when you're young that's really impressionable is humiliation. And I used to get humiliated a lot by my dad, and it just shattered any bit of confidence that I had in myself. Um, and I tell you, man, it was certainly a road, to start chipping away at that and becoming, the man that I am today. And I still, we still struggle with those things. Trauma doesn't go away just because you get older. You just get better at dealing with it. So this isn't a red carpet of woo is me. I'm just stating facts to you, and just it is what it is. I'm not embarrassed about it at all. Again, everybody's journey is a little bit different.
Right. Right. And definitely, y'all. I mean, for anybody that does or doesn't understand this viewing, I mean, he's living proof because it's not. I mean, really, it's not easy to make E9 in any branch, but the Marine Corps. I mean, I would say that first hurdle they always say is to make E4, and then from there, just the way I viewed it, they're all pretty pretty big hurdles, I guess, pretty decent hurdles. It takes more than you just doing what you're supposed to do.
No doubt, man. I mean, the Marine Corps just had a big impact on me. And, you know, when I was a recruit going through recruit training, you know, just everything was kind of, even though it's a hard thing to do and, you know, it's difficult, but it gave me stability and it gave me direction. It gave me guidance. I had father figures, you know, to look up to. I had brothers, you know, to my left and my right, you know, my recruit platoon that just, they cared about you, man. And just, I knew when I graduated recruit training that I wanted to be a drill instructor. And I knew that I wanted, you know, to be in the Marine Corps for a really long time because I thoroughly enjoyed the environment. It was amazing. Never had something like that growing up, man.
Right. Yeah. No. I can say for me, from what you just said, Sergeant Major, definitely at the beginning, it took me to get a little bit of just a little bit of tough skin. So I wasn't sitting there trying to fight everybody and getting NJP left and right.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
All right. Um, if anybody in the comments has anything for what Sergeant Major just said, feel free. I'll give it a few seconds. If I
Yeah, I
look like
know.
I'm, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Go
for
ahead, Sergeant Major.
who's that? Miss Alexander just put that up there. Yeah, it can resurface, you know, at any, I agree with her, you know, just it doesn't leave you. It just it's a matter of you just being able to deal with it a little bit better. And that's just childhood. Now think about childhood trauma and think about, you know, other things that you experienced during your service. And as Larry stated in the bio that you know, I did 4 combat tours and lost unfortunately a lot of Marines. And that's just trauma piled on top of trauma. And just, you know, other things. And it's, you know, life isn't hard. It's a kick in the private part. Sometimes it hurts, but you just got every day, you know, just try to be a little bit better than the day before, and just keep moving, you know, the ball forward. And like we say in the Marines, you know, we don't quit. You know, we're not going to quit, and just keep on trying to make it better every day, man.
Definitely. And excuse me, y'all, if I seem kind of being nervous. Like I'm pretty sure it's not, but it's like in my head, I was like, okay, Sergeant Major, you know, at the same time that he's up here as a guest, he's kind of critiquing me because, as I stated earlier, you know, he's part of the reason, you know, because I was always thinking about it, but then he's part of the reason why I said okay, I'm gonna go ahead and then just jump on YouTube, start my channel.
You know, and I'm proud of you for doing it, Larry. And the most important step that you take, you know, when you're embarking upon a journey like you and I are doing, is just take that first step, do something. I mean, my first video that I did, you know, 3 years ago was not very good. It wasn't, you know, well articulated, but I didn't care. I said, tonight I'm going to shoot this video and I'm going to publish it. I don't care if it's good, bad, and different. I'm going, and then I'm just going to adjust fire along the way. And that's just the best way, you know, that you can start YouTube and podcasting is just to make consistent content. You will get better at it along the way, and you can refine it anytime. A lot of people think that you have to be, you know, niche oriented, like, you know, you know, like for instance, if you're into firearms, people think that, oh, you only just do firearms things. My philosophy and my attitude is that, you know what, it's my channel. I'm the one, you know, putting the work behind the scenes. I'll make it whatever the hell I want to make it.
Right,
And if you F with me, you'll like it. If not, then hopefully you see something you like and then you watch other content, you know?
right. That's true. That's very true. Yeah, not me. I was definitely. I had some of those thoughts in the back of my head when I first started, but it's like, you know, like most of the people that's in the chat right now, you know, I've known them from other channels earlier, and they've always been supportive the whole time. So it's like you know, I got over that one real quick.
Man, you got a good hype crew going there, man. I saw like, you know, 8, 9 people in your room, you know, when I dialed in. That's amazing. A hype crew get your algorithms going and, you know, and also inspire you, you know, to continue to move it forward because it can be a frustrating journey. You know, sometimes you put out an episode, you're like, man, I put my heart and soul into it. This is gonna be great. You think, you know, it's gonna get steam and think people are gonna watch it, and then it falls flat. So you can either
Right,
quit and, you know, throw in the towel and be like, I'm not doing this no more, or you just dust yourself off and say, hey man, adjust fire and let's friggin' do it again. But to have
Right.
people in your corner like you have now is huge. And I wanted to tell all you that are in the room supporting Larry that, I appreciate it. Um, it's always better, to have your crew with you along the path than to be doing it by yourself and figuring it out.
It's very true. I agree. I definitely agree. So I would say my second question is, I'm gonna rephrase it just a little bit now. I would usually say, how'd you get here or who are you today? But instead said, if you don't mind, Sergeant Major, I'll ask you if there is any, what do you feel different, or what do you feel the same, or like you as the same or a different man? Since I would say, I guess around the time that you retired.
Yeah, I mean, the last, let me think, I've been, 30, almost 33 years now between being a Marine and retiring out of the Marines and doing civilian work. It's very chapter ridden, right? So you get, your chapter when you're a young Marine, you get your chapter when you're a non-commissioned officer, you get your chapter, when you're a young staff NCO, and then a senior one, and then, transition and job and all that. It's all, by chapter. But um, I don't know, man. Like, I think I had like a light bulb moment. You still there, brother?
Yeah, everything decided
Okay.
want to slide down.
Oh, no worries, man. Um, but there was kind of like a light bulb moment for me that happened when I knew that I just had to really get it together and stop, doing dumb stuff. Was, when I was a sergeant in the Marine Corps, and I had a major, give me an evaluation, for called the fitness report, but for the viewers, give you like a job performance evaluation. And I got that job performance evaluation from this major, and it wasn't very good. And I was pretty shocked because I thought, I was a pretty good young Marine, and I was like, man, I'm passing all these schools, I'm, people, are asking me, to do things for them, I get a good reputation, etc. And I went to him and I confronted him about it. I was like, hey, what is up with this? Like, how the hell, sir, am I getting, this kind of evaluation? I think I'm doing good things around here. And he's like, well, that's it right there. I said, what are you talking about? He's like, well, that chip you got in your shoulder, that little bit of attitude, that kind of, it's not cockiness, it's more arrogance and it is confidence. He's like, if you nip that in the bud, Sergeant Chabot, you're probably going to be a really good Marine and go really, really far. But until that happens, I hope that you can adjust fires, and figure it out. And I was like, man, I was mad. I took the sheet of paper, crumpled it, walked out. I was all pissed off. And I went home, man, grabbed a beer, and I, sat on my couch, drank a beer, and thought about it. And you know what, man, he was right. He was absolutely right. And that helped me out greatly. His name was Major Keith Moore, and I'm very grateful that he had the moral courage, to look me in the running lights and say, hey, you're not it, but you can be it. So that was really cool. I appreciated that so much. And there's little moments of time throughout, even for anybody in life, there's little moments of time where the right people come in at the right time, they say the right things, or they inspire you in the right way. And you just got momentum and you just get better and better and better. And just, you start figuring more things out, and you get some mentors out there that help you. And you just, at that point, you just stand on the shoulders of giants like you, and you guys, take us to the finish line, man.
Appreciate that, Sergeant Major.
Yeah, man.
I know that we all have, older mentors and Marines and coworkers and stuff that we look up to, and that just stays in our head. But uh, if you can share, did you have any of like junior Marines or young Marines that kind of just always stuck in your head?
Yeah, man. Dudes like you guys, that are combat wounded out there. I'm blessed and grateful and fortunate that that I was not. Certainly could have been on numerous occasions. Um, you guys inspire me again. Like your attitude. Uh, there's this little bit of victim sort of thing that goes on sometimes and permeates through the veteran community. Like there's a little bit of entitlement there. It's like,
Mhm.
I served, you didn't. Like, I'm better than you because I was in the service and you weren't. I did combat tour, you didn't. Um, And that's why it's important, to humble ourselves and think about how grateful we are for that service and not use that, as like leverage against other people. But guys like you, man, who just every day, man, like, and I know you have bad days, Larry. We've talked about it. I know there's some days, that just you're like, man, what the hell? Um, but overall, your attitude just speaks volumes of just a dude like me to get me to humble myself. Say, Larry Bailey is making the best that he can for his daughter, for his family, and trying to be the best example and the best dude that he can. Why the hell can't I? And he went through a hell of a lot more trauma and a hell of a lot more recovery than I did. So you're like a mentor to me, brother.
I'm glad it's dark in here. Be blessing. Okay.
I just speak facts, bro. Hey, I'm not your prototypical sergeant major. I'm just trying to be down to earth and respectful and just, tell it the way it is. I ain't afraid to open up my heart to people. I'm not afraid, to show emotion, and love is a word I'm never afraid of at all. I love Marines, and, I have a lot of love for you. And a huge thing about you, Larry, is that I think that when you look at, men and women out there, when they become parents, take a look
Mhm.
at their kids, right? And I
Yeah.
think that's a huge
Yep.
reflection of you and your daughter. Not only is she absolutely beautiful, but she's well mannered. She's so nice. I loved hanging out with her, up at Arlington. We went to the parade together,
Hmm.
and she speaks volumes about you. And I'd like to say the same thing about my son.
Definitely.
I get so many compliments about him, about how wonderful of a young man he is. And for the viewers out there, he's a special guy. He's on the spectrum, but he lights up the room everywhere he goes. But I think that me and my wife will never give ourselves enough credit
Has a
for how
great
well,
smile.
we raised him.
Definitely, definitely. 200% agree with you on that. Let me think. I don't want to hit the last question too early, and I just had something in my head.
You can ask me
Um,
anything, brother. Um, I'll share with you that, one of the, besides, being a husband and being, a father, and things are personal, but professionally, I'm probably, like most proud of, leading Marines in combat, regardless of the circumstances of how we got there. Our number was called, and we went over there and did the absolute best that we could. But that experience that you have of training together, hardships together, running and gunning together. Um, Unfortunately, somebody gets killed in action, wounded in action, and you go through all that stuff together. You come home together. Your families hang out together. You drink beer together. You play golf together, and just it's this incredible conundrum of just morale and cohesion and brotherhood, and that just can't be duplicated anywhere. I don't think a Super Bowl winning team can duplicate what we do when we surge together and go do hard things. And that's the
right.
thing that I miss the most about being in the Marine Corps, is that
Hmm.
culture, right? And doing hard things together, for sure.
I always tell people the brotherhood and the culture. That's the things I miss the most. Um,
No doubt. No doubt.
you know, even deployments. That's like it's like I tell people it's like believe it or not, on my inside, my mental, my spirit, I was relaxed because of course you want to be back home, especially me. I'm a gamer. I want to be back home, seeing whatever games, whatever movies I'm missing at the time, whatever ladies, whatever. But at the same time, it's like I wasn't worried about real life home or life back home in the states. I wasn't worried about bills or big family issues, and even my parents, they even protected me from some of that stuff because some stuff that they told me I was like, well, why don't you tell me? They're like, well, we didn't want that on your mind at that
Yeah.
time. I could. I remember what I was going to say now. I was going to say for the chat, uh, Sergeant Major isn't somebody. Well, I can't say that I've ever met because the Marine Corps is small. We run into people all the time. but I don't remember. I don't think we have met before, but excuse me, I can tell that, or just from over the time talking to him, talking to Sergeant Major Kent, things like that. I can tell that he's that type of sergeant major, or just that type of leader, type of boss that anybody, or that I feel like most people would want. Would sit down, or I believe he would sit down and talk to the junior enlisted. Definitely, I mean, it's part of his job to mentor the junior officers. Um, just I would like to believe that most people think this way, but those are the type of leaders I've always respected the most, and I've just been blessed. Majority of the people military wise I've met in life has been like Sergeant Major or Sergeant Major Kent, just real down to earth, real life guys. I mean, I have met a few where I mean, it's funny, but they're still good dudes. Where you can almost say it's like, the Marine Corps is definitely a huge part of my life. But I've met a few senior enlisted. I'm not sure about officers, but senior enlisted that you would say the Marine Corps like took over their life. Like they might have lost their personality. Again, they're funny, eccentric, but for the most part, the ones I've met still pretty good guys.
Yeah, man, you got some folks out there that are self-serving, and then there's others, that serve others. Um, if you're serving others, and you're taking good care of your people, then your path will be good anyway. You don't have to worry about kissing rings or butt sniffing anybody, as long as you're taking really good care of your people. And my attitude's always been like I'm gonna talk to everybody like with respect, period. The same
Mm.
way when I'm walking around my neighborhood, if I'm walking by somebody at 7-Eleven and they're homeless, I'm going to say hello to them and without any judgment at all. Like they're a human being, and I wish them the absolute best, and I'm going to be respectful of them. No different, no different when I was on active duty. And the thing about active duty is that some people don't do that. They treat people, depending on what they have in their collar or their experience. Um,
Mhm.
and then they treat people differently, when somebody screws something up, right? And they hold grudges against them. My thing was like, if you're screwed up, like, yes, I may be a little bit upset with you, and I may, talk to you very, very sternly. But then as soon as that's done, guess what? I'm bringing you right back in, and I'm trying to get you back into the fight. I'm not trying to isolate you, from the unit, and treat you in any other way. Like my goal is to try to get you back into a fight, unless you committed a felony or something. There's not much I can do for you.
Right.
But that's just how I rolled. And because think about it like this, Larry. If you treat somebody, in that way, and they're in trouble or something, or they're on hardships, and you treat them, different, you don't think that the other really smart people in your unit see that, and they're like, well, I'm just one mistake away from being, on the shit list, or being, on the outskirts, right? Like
Hmm.
it's not good. And I can't believe how some senior leaders in the Marine Corps still haven't figured that out after all these years. Um, and just having a personality, man, like shit. Like the way I'm talking to you is the same way I was when I was in uniform. Like have some fucking personality, man. Don't walk
Right,
around like
right.
no damn robot, belt fed, friggin' all this shit. Hell no, man. Have some damn personality. Like Sergeant Major Kent's got a hell of a personality, right? He's a larger than
Hmm.
life personality. I have
Right.
more of like a more caring personality, maybe more than charismatic. But like when you're yourself, it lets other people know that they can be their self, and they don't have to be something they're not. And that's a dangerous thing, man. When you start trying to be something you're not, that is a recipe for friggin' disaster.
I mean, honestly, I've seen a lot of that. Mainly, I guess I would say at my first duty station, and it's like it made sense to me. And you know, I can be honest, I was definitely guilty of not favoritism, but it's like on the weekend, my best friend and I is like we usually got as far away from other military as we could. You know, as long as it was a decent city, whatever. hang out there, whatever. But it's like every now and then we would take some of the junior guys with us, and definitely guilty of just some guys I personally liked a little bit more than others, but
Sure.
I can definitely see in a lot of the younger guys, and I only say that because what I joined at 21. Um, um,
Yeah, a little older.
mhm. You can see that they come from like little hometowns, never left it until they joined the Marine Corps. Hasn't seen much in life, and so then they get there, they look for where can I fit in on a social basis, and then just it's usually the dudes acting silly and stupid all the time are some of the easier ones they feel like are the easy ones to, I guess, get in with.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
It wasn't all the time, it wasn't a lot, but I mean, I have seen it. And something that you said had brought into my head. I don't even think I've shared it with the chat before. It's like my very first duty station when I first got there was like my maybe like my third week there. They put me on post at night. Now I was told they shouldn't have did that, but I'm not blaming them. I'm blaming myself. But which was it was at Bangor Sergeant Major there on the pier with the subs coming. I fell asleep on my first night post, and just I was like, man, I'm kind of like what you said. I was feeling like I was gonna be labeled as somebody that fell asleep on their post, or their very first post, and it's like I was corrected, I was talked to, but it's like the unit still took me under their wing. They didn't make, they didn't keep it lingering. They didn't make a super huge deal about it, and that's always stood out in the back of my mind to me.
That's refreshing to hear, man, because you don't always hear that story. Um, man, if I we all make mistakes because we're humans, and we all suck sometimes, and we do things that we shouldn't do. I'm very grateful that I was blessed to have leaders who would forgiving, and they had empathy on me when I made those mistakes, and so I just try to pay it forward throughout my time, just pay forward what was paid forward to me.
Right, definitely. Let me think.
All
Mm,
right, Mimi, you have a good night too. Thank you for chiming in. I appreciate your support, and thanks for supporting Larry.
Definitely don't forget to check out Sergeant Major's channel memes. What else did you say that stuck out? Excuse me, that stuck out. I'm trying not to cover things that you might cover later. It's okay, it's fine. So again, I'm gonna switch it up just a little bit, Sergeant Major. My last question is usually, you have any like life advice, business advice, anything like that. But it's like you kind of been hitting us with gems the whole time, so it doesn't make sense to ask you that. Mm, I guess we talked quite a bit about the Marine Corps, so I guess I'll ask what 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 would you like to see, and how would you suggest that we get there in the, I'll say, near or distant future of of the Marine Corps, and even civilian life, but possibly working with the military or working with the government, being a GS employee or something like that.
Um, Gee, that's kind of a loaded question. Let me
Sorry
start
about that.
by saying, no, it's okay, man. It's all right. Let's try to hit a couple of points. So, first point is that I can only hope and pray that our future, political leaders will do right by us, right? What I mean by that is I reflect upon the last kind of war that sort of had a lot of righteousness in it, where America was like really truly at threat, was World War II. That was a long time ago, man. It ended in 1945. Uh, Korean War, okay, you're like trying to help out, South Koreans are our allies. I get it. Vietnam War, still can't, put together, a good argument, for why 58,000, people lost their lives and all those other wounded in action. Desert Storm, okay, another one, we're getting involved over there. And then, 9/11 started out as, having, some goodness behind it. It's like, let's go pursue, punish, and kill the Taliban, those responsible, to, inflicting all those harm on people at the Pentagon, the Twin Towers, and up there in Pennsylvania with the plane crash. But then it just gets drawn out, and I just can't really reconcile that, the reasons on why we were over there in the first place. And I'm not an anti, political guy. I'm not an anti-war guy. I just know that a lot of the things that we were told on why we were there in the first place weren't true. And that kind of hurts a little bit. It kind of stings a little bit.
Right.
So that'd be the first thing I would say, is that our people that we elect need to do a much better job before they send our youth into places like that. It better be for a damn good reason, right? That has, a threat to the United States, not, these other, threats of spreading of communism and things like that. Just that's not a good reason, to give up tens of thousands of lives and numerous other people wounded. Secondly, the second point I would say is that I can only hope that the military isn't, we always say the military is built for war fighting, and sure, should it need be? Yes. But what it really needs to be is a deterrent. That's really what we do. So a strong military deters other people from acting up, because if they F around, they'll find out, right? So I hope that that's where this investment, over the next, current administration and follow-on administrations, I hope that they indeed, put a lot of, a lot of resources towards the military, making us as lethal as possible and getting the best stuff in the hands of our young warfighters in case, the flag goes up and they need to, to put things in motion and things in action and actually defend our country instead of getting involved in other people's, business. I pray, brother. I pray.
I'm with you on that one, Sergeant Major.
Now,
So,
I think,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, and I think you kind of alluded to something about transition. If you didn't, then I'll just kind of touch on it, really quick.
Okay.
That departing the military, departing the pattern, and going out into civilian, world can be very damning and a different experience for each individual that experiences it. On the worst extreme, some people, depart the military and depart that culture and, and that love for something that's greater than yourself. And they'll end their life because they just can't adjust and they can't deal with, the lifelines of being a civilian. Others, beat them. Others, turn to drugs and alcohol. There's other people out there that it doesn't bother them one bit. They're like, military's in my past. I'm moving forward and I'm doing this and I'm happy as hell. And there's other people that become millionaires and everything in between, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's important that we continue, that camaraderie, and that partnership as we leave, and we don't forget, about those experiences that we talked about earlier. It's really important that we do that. That's the reason why, I continually try to, keep in touch with you, along with a whole bunch of other people in this area, and just let anybody out there know that, hey, man, you're not alone. And yeah, your thoughts are not yours alone. There's plenty of other people out there that feel very similar to the way that you do. And don't quit. We're here for each other.
Right. I would definitely say taking myself out of the equation, and it's like we talk about a lot of these things every day, but then it's like when we're talking about it with or when we hear the opinions of people that's been overseas for various military or just government reasons. I think, to me at least, it hits a little bit different, because again, it's like I always kind of take myself out of the equation until I'm speaking of myself in conversations like that. I try to look at it with, I don't know the right word for it, like virgin eyes, I guess.
Yep. I'm with you.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's definitely different. Well, it was different for me. Uh, I viewed war, combat, stuff like that a lot different until, or and you know, things going on with the government until you know, I have my daughter, and then it's like when I'm, you know, you're actually looking or thinking about someone else's future, somebody that you know that you truly care about and how you would want things for them. So you know, I definitely hope and pray that we're not dealing with a bunch of like silliness in the government. We're being thrust into whatever different kind of like, you know, what you're saying, uh, pointless or unclear conflicts that's just driving up expenses, which just, you know, call it what it is. You know, when the cost of living and everything else like that goes up, I feel like it starts to add a little bit more craziness to everything else in life. People start acting more crazy. People start latching on to more things maybe that they shouldn't. Some things. So yeah, I'm good. Well, I mean, pretty much everything thing you said, I'm with you. I'm definitely with you on that one too. Feeling
Yeah, you
just
can't.
again, it's just. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I I mean, you can't help but to be a little bit skeptical about it, with all the shenanigans and again, I certainly don't want to turn this into a political discussion with you, Larry, because you know we're trying to build bridges, not canyons with people, and that's part of the
Hmm.
reason why I podcast and things. But sometimes you just have to kind of call it what it is. That some of these people that we elect, they walk in, with the best intentions, likely, to go to Congress, and they walk in there with normal, middle class salary jobs, and they leave there with lining their pockets with tens of millions of dollars, right? You just can't help but to scratch your head and think about that. You're like, how is that? And then you start hearing about, all these contracts, and all these deals in military industry, complexes and contracts and companies, and, they're board members of this company or this, and they're making this, technology, and they're plugged in this way. And,
Right.
to me, it just kind of screams kind of dirty hands a little bit. And, yeah, you just can't help but to just like say to yourself, like, geez Louise, I mean, are we doing things for the right reasons, right? Or are we
Right.
just, continuing this, cycle of just rob Peter to pay Paul government, and then, finding reasons, you know, do things overseas, and put people at risk for the sake of, of money and lining pockets. And again, I don't work up there, but just you can't help but to just kind of think about it a little bit and be like, yeah, that doesn't seem right. That doesn't really seem to make a lot of sense. Like whatever happened, to having a good, compass in doing what's right for people. Like if I was in
Right.
that position, like nobody, and I mean nobody, nobody's sons or daughters getting put in fucking harm's way over some bullshit. It better be for a damn frigging good reason. I'm talking about like, our country is like somebody's getting ready to storm through our borders, or some kind of, threat that is really, really serious to the United States, where we're really talking about our livelihood at stake. That's the only effing reason that I would ever put anybody in that situation. Not for fucking money, not for contracts, not for re-election, none of that bullshit.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah. No. No. Definitely not trying to harp on it, but
No, it's
you
okay,
mentioned
brother.
something
It's
that made me
okay.
think about something I think about all the time. Like I think to myself from well, not all the time, but from time to time, it's like I wonder how many people go into government with the purest and the best intentions, and then they get there, and again, almost like college, almost like the Marine Corps, almost like joining the military territory. It's like they feel like or they realize to get anywhere that they have to play some of the game, and just over time, kind of get corrupted. I think about that
Yeah, I think,
often. Like does that happen?
yeah. I think that, maybe at the higher levels, certainly, but, like at my level, look, I work at the middle class level, man. I don't make a ton of money. I make, a decent salary. I'm able to take care of my family. but I don't see like, the folks that I work with at my level, that are dirty and, they're slacking and, and they're trying, to scam and things like that. I don't see that at all. So, but I'm sure at the highest levels, 100%, absolutely.
Right. Yeah, okay. This definitely hit us with a lot more than I thought we would talk about. I almost don't want to let you go. Trying to think if I got at least like two or three the other things. If you got time, that is.
I do, brother.
Um,
I do.
okay, so I guess I could say it's like, for some people, like one of my buddies, he does his YouTube and he's like, I like running my mouth. I like showing people stuff, but I purely do this, or I mostly do this, even though he did say solely, but I would say he mostly does it, to make a paycheck. To me, I'm kind of I do need to get back to doing more shorts and stuff like that, like I used to do. But it's like I'm not in it for that reason. I'm in it just because I like conversating, I like debating, I like, I like exploring the way that people think and stuff like that. And I like
Yeah.
to run my mouth pretty much. So it's kind of why I started doing this. I know that you mentioned part of a little bit earlier why you started it, but I guess would you say that there's any other like I guess sub or smaller reasons or maybe after you started, you kind of felt like, well, now that I've been doing it, I'm kind of in it for this as well, this or that, whatever.
Yeah. Well, turn back the clock to the beginning. I think the one of the biggest reasons why I decided, to go on this journey, is because uh, the thing that I did probably the most in the Marine Corps, particularly when I was a senior Marine, was do exactly what I'm doing with you. I was hardly ever in my office space. I was constantly walking around, maneuvering, and talking to Marines, civilians, and sailors. That's what I spent probably 6 hours of my day doing, and then I do all my administrative things at the end of the day, and I would try to avoid as many meetings as possible. Well, when I retired, I missed that a lot. So I said, what better way, to connect, and close that gap, and talk to people than to do it, in this capacity. And like you said, when you're reading my bio, I'm a board member of the Amphibious Tractor Memorial. We're building a legacy, wall and statue down at the National Museum of the Marine Corps at Quantico, Virginia. And I said, well, shit, if I can
Oh,
do
okay.
this and I can, make a little bit of money, I'll donate all the profits to that. And I'll put out, videos about our community, and I'll kind of serve as like a little bit of a brand ambassador of that. So
Mhm.
very, very, very proud to say that, not just through Meta, through the channel, through coin sales that I've done, and then also just kind of my own donations. We've donated over $3,000 in 18 months, so I'm really proud of that. Um,
Right.
and then the other thing that I did was I took it and I made it into an LLC. I turned it into a small, LLC business. So I'm able, to write off, a lot of the expenses, which, helps me with my taxable income. And it helps
Mhm.
keep me under the, that bracket of being, that disgusting person who makes too much money and has to write big checks at the end of the year. Because
Right.
I don't like that. I don't know anybody that likes that, but I really despise it because um, as a federal worker, 40% of my money is gone like that. 40%, right? And then you want me to write you a check at the end of the year because I do okay. Like that just doesn't sit right with me, man. So I'm
Right.
trying to get underneath that as much as possible. But back to the purpose thing of it, just um, consistency is key, right? Like you just have to be consistent in doing this. And I think I read the other day that there's over, I think 500,000 YouTube channels, and most people quit after three videos. Most
Oh
people
wow.
quit when they, yeah, yeah. Most people quit once they get to they don't get to 100 subs fast enough because we live in this environment now where everything is snapped of the fingers and
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
instant gratification. You get it so
Hmm.
fast, And if you're like a celebrity or something like that, you may get some instant gratification because you're a known commodity out there. But just normal, dudes like you and I, sure, we got, family, we got some close friends, we got, a network of veterans and friends that we have that will support us. But it takes time to get your channel, going, and, to get people to come, view your content, and make even a couple dollars from it. It takes a while. So you just got to be committed to it and consistent.
Right.
And consistent as well. But the other thing is, like, I try to be the antithesis of what's going on out there in the podcasting world, right? So right now in the podcasting world, celebrity, actors, athlete worship, and that kind of, like Hollywood culture thing, which I don't like. I'm just not really into that. Sure, I respect their craft. I respect what they do. But the fact that, we worship, folks, that play sports and act and things like that, like I said, I respect their talents, but I don't hold them in like any regard over anybody else. Like, they're not my
Right.
heroes. They're not my effing heroes. Like, you're my hero. The Marines I served with, are my heroes. The woman down the street who has 4 kids, whose husband, left her, and she's down there, doing the best she can. She's my hero, not those folks. So I try to, be like somebody out there who does something different, that tries to promote those stories and promote, those things.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely like that. Yeah, people they get on me all the time for not knowing or remembering different actors or even music artists' names. But I tell them, I was like, just people to me. Of course, I don't remember.
Yeah. I
It's like
respect them, man.
there's a
I
few
mean,
of them.
when I was a little boy, man, I met Marvelous Marvin Hagler, at that time the baddest dude in the planet, man. He was the undisputed middleweight champion of the world. He was my idol when I was little, man. But I was little, dude. Like, and I'd love bad dudes, knock dudes out. That's just what I liked. I was really in the boxing. So don't get me wrong, man. Like, I love Tom Brady, and I'm not saying like I don't I'm saying is I don't think of them as any better than any of the rest of us. So I try to bring dudes on like you, and I've had Sergeant Major Kent on. I've had numerous other just great people that have something to share and have something to offer. It can provide a nugget of wisdom to make somebody's life a little bit friggin' better.
Right. I like that. Chad definitely likes that.
Thank you, chat. I appreciate you. I see you, Glossy.
uh, I guess Sergeant Major. I mean, yeah. I was asking anyways. Would you have any words of wisdom for anybody or anything, or for the
Yeah,
chat? Sorry, guys.
man. I could talk to you for an hour about things that will help. But I think if there's one thing that the one thing that will get you far is effort. The
Definitely.
harder, the more you put into it, effort equals results, and just passion. Those intangible things are just will get you, very far. Because believe me, like I'm about as most average dude out there. I know, like you probably don't feel that way, and I'm telling you, man, like. I know reading my bio, you would think like this guy's some kind of rock star. I'm not. Like I was an average friggin' intelligence, average friggin' student, below average student. Let's get that right. Very below average student. I was not a friggin' good recruit. I wasn't a very good young Marine. I was an okay NCO, starting to do a little bit better, but I was never like the friggin' dude everywhere I went. I had a lot of like second and third place finishes in my career, and the only reason why I've gotten to where I am is because just to put a lot of effort into everything that I've done. Effort.
Hey, Grant.
It ain't nobody's gonna give you shit, man. Like that's my attitude. Is like if you want it, you gotta go out there and you gotta get it. You have to go get it. Nobody's gonna give you anything.
Right. Right. Definitely. hmm All right. Well, I got two more things. I got a comment and then a question. Something else you said. I was chuckling to myself because it it made me think about, we always had the senior staff, whether it's the officer, senior enlisted, whatever. There's like, you always have the ones where it's like someone rushes up. I don't know. I guess the your lookout, whatever, rushes up. They're like, Sergeant Major so and so's coming, First Sergeant so and so's coming, and then everyone, gets straight, straightens up, whatever, looking clean, all that stuff. And then you had the ones that whenever they came around and somebody announced it, kind of picked up everyone's morale. Like that's definitely how I view people like you and Sergeant Major Kent. Definitely. And
Yeah, I
then,
mean, I think there's times where, don't get me wrong, man. Like if you're a really good leader and you're upholding standards, and you got, you're trying to really guide people the right way and not necessarily give people what they want, and also not telling people what they want to hear, but telling people what they need to hear. You talk to enough people, there'll be some folks out there who would have hate mail, directed towards me, and have a different of opinion. Um, I sleep good at night though, knowing that I never tried, to like personally screw anybody over and like be
Right.
vindictive about it. But just it is what it is, and at the end of the day, you just have to balance, those three things between your people that you have the privilege of leading. Those are people's sons and daughters that are entrusted to you. Like I took that responsibility very, very seriously. You have a responsibility to your unit, and then you have a responsibility to the Marine Corps as well. But if you put like an equal amount of equity into each one of those things, and that's applicable to anything, whether you're in the service or not, if you put like an equal amount of equity into those things that are important, then you're going to go really, really far. And you've heard it before, Larry. Like, the guys out there, like, they're all about the Marine Corps and about the institution, but, they don't really give a shit about the Marines. Like, that's a recipe for disaster. But if you're
right.
also all about the Marines only, and you don't really care about the unit, being successful, and you don't care about the Marine Corps standards and the institution, that's a recipe for disaster too. So you just have to have a good, balanced effort across all the lines. It's important.
Definitely. I agree. And my last one for you, Sergeant Major, is kind of way off subject. And Patricia, Granny, anybody, if y'all want to chime in too, you're more than welcome to. But Sergeant Major, I guess for you personally, what is the secret to a good, long, happy as possible marriage?
Shit, man. Tolerance, forgiveness, right? It goes back to what I said earlier, man. I mean, dude, we screw it up, man. We're human, man. We do dumb shit. We make friggin' mistakes and stuff. And I just feel like a lot of folks, and don't get me wrong, man, I'm not challenging anybody's red line. Like only you know what your red line is and what you're willing, to tolerate and what you're not willing to tolerate. And some people, are very, very rigid. And like I get that. For me, I embrace, that mindset of my wife sometimes is going to do some stupid shit and she's going to make me friggin' upset. But I always reflect upon that, like I married her for a reason, right? And I
Mhm.
consider, all the good things that she's done, not just, those few, missteps that, she's had, or the times she's disappointed me, or the times, I thought she was doing, something silly. To me, I always think about that woman and that I looked in the eyes in 1999, and she was absolutely stunning, and I saw her up at Blackie's in Springfield, Virginia, and I was like, man, that girl is so effing sexy and beautiful, and like I'm trying to get her to give me a ride home, right? And yeah, for sure. And then, the person, that I fell in love with, the person, that I took my vows with, that we took very, very seriously, and just you build that mini empire and you do everything that you can to kind of protect it. And a lot of it just has to do with, being open and transparent about things. I can sit with her and tell her, like anything. And a lot of times we don't think that nobody can understand, our shit, right? But our shit
Mhm.
is like our veteran shit, our combat shit, all that trauma that we talked about earlier. Like nobody can understand that because I'm so special and only I can understand it and only a few other people in the world can understand it. That's a lie, man. Like your ride or dies are going to understand it, whether in the military, out of the military, but my spouse especially friggin' understands that stuff. And I talk to her about it. And she can talk to me about anything too. But you got to have some fucking forgiveness in your heart, man. You got to. There's times where I've wanted to throw in the towel, and there's times I think where she wanted to throw in the towel. But we said, you know what, man? Like, and the other thing, Larry, and this is going to sound maybe a little bit different per se, but my responsibility to my son, like that is my number one priority, in my life is to be a good father to him. And
Yeah.
as long as I'm not miserable and being eaten up on the inside, he will not grow up in a single parent home where he's, going back and forth in between and doing that stuff. That's not fair to him. I'm doing
Right.
everything I can to make sure that we grow as a family and to make sure that we're both there for him under the same roof. Again, if I was miserable, that wouldn't be the case. But we try really hard to make sure that we don't get to those breaking points, man, because we value that so much. Like he needs us bad.
Definitely. Appreciate that, Sergeant Major. Well, I guess unless anybody has anything else, or if you had any more,
Oh yeah.
sorry, go
Sorry,
ahead.
the last one was you asked I didn't even hit it your freaking point. Your point was secret to a successful marriage. Yeah, be a little bit selfish with your time sometimes, right? Like what do we call it? Date your wife, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
I've
like
heard that
date your
term.
wife. Yeah, date your wife too, and a lot of times you get so inundated in the routine of you come home, dinner, do what you need to do with your son, sit down, watch TV, and then rinse and repeat. On the weekends, you might go do something, but like no kidding, like be selfish, be a little bit selfish with your time and date your spouse. We have our once a month, or just her and I, we go out and we do something, whether it's out to dinner, we go see a show. Sometimes we'll just go for a ride, go sit at a brewery or a winery, have a cocktail together, whatever it is, just some alone time,
Right.
just between the two of us. And the other rule is there's two other things. One is to every day turn off electronics just for a couple minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and sit across from each other and just talk. We do that every day. Non-negotiable,
I like that.
non-negotiable, non-negotiable. That happens.
Yeah, I really like that. I mean, today, I'm definitely in it. I've
Glossy,
been on
thank you for
plenty of
saying that. I
dates.
appreciate you. Glossy, they don't call me the silver fox for nothing. See, it
Definitely,
takes a
Patricia.
commitment to be working on your relationship. It's business. You have to put it, yep, same line, 100%, 100%, Miss Patricia, 1,000%.
Uh-oh. What's going on with this? Sorry, y'all.
That's right. You do have to, you do. A lot of people, they unfortunately, they take their relationships kind of for granted and they get, a little bit, they drift and they get distant. And that's when bad things start happening. So you're right. You do got to pour, a certain amount of effort into that as well. And I used to tell Marines this, Larry, particularly when I led more senior Marines, when I was a sergeant major of all the drill instructors on the West Coast, I would tell them that it's very important that they not just lead, recruits and not in order to become Marines, and grow through that process with them. It's also important that you lead at home. You got to be a leader at home as well.
Yep,
A leader to
that's
your
true.
spouse, a leader to your kids. If you're in the community, leader of a community, all that good stuff.
I can definitely agree with that. I'm just trying to, learn and per se be like you guys. We'll kind of gather all that in and put take from that what I can do and what works for me and make that part of my everyday life.
No doubt, man. No doubt. I can't wait to come down to your property and go shoot some shoot some firearms. I got some cool ones to show you. I've been on a little firearm
Anytime.
kick lately.
Oh, yeah,
Let's see.
definitely. Anytime.
Man, I tell you what, Patricia, man, she's a sharp one. She's sharp. Is that your girlfriend?
Uh-uh.
Oh, okay.
Nope. Miss
Are you still
Patricia,
with?
she would try to beat me up if I try to talk to her.
Are you still have the same girlfriend?
Nope. Mm-mm.
Jesus, man, I saw a picture of her a few months ago on your social media. I was like, man, she's really pretty.
I guess you could say got comfortable and didn't care how she was talking. So I was like, oh no, this doesn't work
Hey,
for me.
man, sometimes it doesn't work out, man. Can't please everybody. Be grateful, you don't have an empire, that you have to undo, right?
That's
Trust your
true.
gut, Larry. Trust your gut, brother.
I'm not Patricia. Definitely. I try to.
Yeah, dude, this chat's good, man. I like these cats, man. They're good. You got a
But
lively
me
bunch.
sometimes. Yep. Yeah, they are. They are. They definitely tend to get verbally violent. Not Miss Patricia, but Gloss. She's definitely threatened to trip me down my own steps before. Mimi said some crazy stuff before.
Have
Donna
mercy on
threatens
them.
me often. I know.
Have mercy on my brother over there, man. Damn.
I'm about as chill as they come. One of the chillest people I like to believe.
Yeah, yeah, I feel you. I feel you. Try there's anything else that we want to
Uh-oh.
cover. What's that say? Oh,
Oh, my
date
headphones
several
turned off for
people
a
until you.
second.
There you go. Yep. Date several people until you find the right one. Yep. Absolutely.
I do not. Not at all. Maybe if I was, I'm gonna say single. Maybe if I was maybe if I was not a father, maybe. But no, them days was in my 20s.
Yeah, it'll be when you least expect it, Larry. It'll just be one of them things that you kind of stumble across, and then it'll marinate and percolate into something. But
Hmm?
I wouldn't be too overly concerned about it and go out there, on the hunt and do date naps and all that stuff, man. I would stay away from it. I'm old
I
school,
tried
bro.
it. I tried it. No,
Go
there's
to the library. Get
a lot
lucky
of
at the
crazy.
library.
I
I'm
think
an
that's actually one
in-person
of the
type of
places that
dude.
they say.
Yeah, yeah, man. I'm like an in-person type. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I didn't. No, could tell people stories for hours from dating app things. Just met a lot of crazies. I'd say that a lot of hurt people.
Yeah, I mean, I have Twitter, and the Twitter shows me the things that that I'm sheltered from. Considering the rather normal sort of stable life that I have. Today. I can that shit is wild, bro. There's some wild friggin' stuff going on out there, man. The way that
Yep.
people text and these apps and stuff, and just how free people are, and almost like how silly they are, and just with putting themselves out there. It's like you really sent a picture, to somebody, of your stuff. Like I cannot believe that you would do something like that. People getting extorted out there. It's
Hmm.
insane. How the hell do these girls make, millions of dollars, on these social media platforms, those OnlyFans stuff and all that? It's like,
I was gonna say
man,
OnlyFans.
dudes, man the hell up, man. Stop being
Hmm.
effing simps. Stop being little freaking simps, man.
I think it's people with no confidence in themselves
Yeah.
that keeps
This
them
dude,
rich.
this kid the other day, I forget, he was talking, it was just this motivational speaker, and he said something like, there's some percentage out there of like just like guys that just will not approach or talk to a female. It's like
Hmm.
55% or something. I mean, you kidding
Oh
me?
wow, I had no
Yeah, it
idea.
was something crazy like that. And it
I,
explains, how these people make all this money, on social media.
I think social media makes that number bigger nowadays because it's way easier to, just like people talk crazy. It's easy to talk crazy. It's easy to flirt online and move on to the next person if it doesn't work out versus trying to approach a young lady or a young man in person.
Yeah. Well, I don't have to worry about that anymore, dude. I tell my bride all the time. I was like, I don't need to do those things. I said you're a platinum edition, and you can't upgrade from that.
Right.
No, don't need to trade her in, man. There's nothing above a platinum model. Well,
Okay.
shit, dude. I'm just gonna say, if you don't mind, I'm just gonna just say a couple of closing comments, and then I'm gonna um, sign off for the evening. First thing is thank you. Um, Thank you
Thank
for
you.
sharing space with me and time. It's always good to catch up with you. I love that we keep in touch, and I didn't tell you this yet because I'm still working on it, but I have every intention of yourself and your daughter coming to the 250th Marine Corps birthday ball with
Okay.
me, my wife, and a couple other folks this year. I'm just working on trying to get us a table right now, and you can imagine that the 250th is going to be a tough thing to get into, but I'm working on it through Sergeant Major of the
That's
Marine Corps,
huge.
etc. Yeah, man.
Okay.
So working on that. But I do appreciate you allowing me to talk to people and provide some thoughts and some context on things. It's important. Again, we're building bridges, not canyons. Um, Trying not to be petty, and get caught up in other people's drama. We're trying to share things that'll be indeed helpful to humanity and and helpful to our community. So I'm grateful for that.
Definitely.
And
Thank you,
to
Sergeant
everybody,
Major.
yeah, man, everybody out there, just don't. Um, I lost another Marine a couple weeks ago to suicide, and regardless of how well I knew the person or not, it always stings a little bit. Um,
Yeah.
there's nothing unless you've committed some really really serious crimes that will land you in prison for your lifetime. Anything else, time will heal it. So you just got to let it run its course. And life is a roller coaster ride. Strap on, and hold on tight. But we can't quit. The trauma that you put families through is when you depart the pattern. When you leave, somebody's there, picking up the pieces, and that's just not a fair deal, man, to people who love you. So
Right. Yeah,
let's
yeah, no.
continue to hang in there, for sure. We got to continue to do that, and I just hope that we can continue to uplift each other, and lift each other up rather than tear each other down. Life's too short, for all that haterade bullshit. Support each other.
True. That's true. Yep. I got to catch myself sometimes.
I know, bro. Hey, man, we're human. Yep. I can ruminate myself and get, a little bit agitated with things. And this week, man, I was like, man, I was so fed up with a couple things that I was thinking about, not throwing the towel, meaning like, leaving Earth or anything. I mean, just like to the point where I was just like frustrated and fed up. But then, you open
Hmm.
up your eyes in the morning and it's a new day. And it's like, okay, you got to reflect upon the good things that you have going on in your life and not just let those couple agitators, dictate, your morale and, and drive you into, that state of mind where you're just like so upset all the time and verging on depression and things like that. Like that's not it. So reflect and be grateful for the things that you do have rather than the things that you don't have. Because somebody out there is always, doing something bigger than you. Somebody out there is always, you know, doing better, in a field that you strive to be better in. But you just have to look in the mirror and say, man, like, okay, I'm a pretty freaking good person. I'm doing pretty friggin' well in life, and I'll continue to try to get better. Um, but the things around me are good.
Definitely.
Pep
Definitely.
talks, man. Pep talks. Self pep talks.
I definitely always remind myself that my family and my friends as well. They're uh, I could say I've been fortunate enough to have a pretty good support system my whole life.
remember we talked about it, man. Like, one of the things from our episode together that I absolutely loved that you said was, I asked you, like how family played, a part in, your recovery, and as soon as you touch ground in Bethesda, they pumped you full of some medicine, and you're out for a while, and then you open up your eyes, and the first people that you saw, were your parents, and I was like, man, that's what it's all about, man. Like that's what's up. That's what's up. I was That was very inspiring, man, and I'm grateful that you have, ride or dies like that in your corner, man, through that, trauma that you had to go through and that recovery process.
Yeah, definitely. It was annoying a little bit during the time, but got through it.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Like, well, I mean, I guess I'll throw this in here real quick. Not not trying to hold y'all. It's like it's weird, it's like coming straight from a deployment, coming straight from the Marine Corps, and then I have my physical therapist. Okay, well, how do I probably say? I was gonna say real nice. She is nice, personally, very very nice. But when she has the uniform on, when as a physical therapist, just tall, always smile on her face, always a real sweet, pleasant voice. But it's like she's saying stern and mean things to me with the sweet, pleasant voice. I mean, I'm sitting there like this is just throwing me off. Like I can't take it. Like I need you to like holler at me or
Yeah,
speak
yeah, yeah,
something. Just this is it was just throwing me off.
yeah,
But anyways, all right, Sergeant
yeah.
Major, I appreciate it. Definitely is for real. Is definitely an honor to have you again. It's like pretty sure that you're not critiquing me. You might be, but most
No.
time I was like, okay, let me just make sure I'm doing everything smooth and good. It was scary glass. She can be a nice, scary woman.
Yeah, that's something that I also look forward, when I come down, and we not only break bread, but we shoot some friggin' sulfur out. um, chat up about, podcasting, and some techniques and things like that, and
Hmm.
continue, try to get, better with it, because there's things that that I don't know, and there's things I know that you don't know, and just those little tidbits of information, those little nuggets can, make just our product a little bit better.
I agree
But
with
I'm
that.
just proud. I'm proud of you that you're doing it, and that you're being consistent with it, and that, again, it's so easy to quit. I mean, I gave you some stats earlier. I mean, you've seen it. I'm sure you've had numerous friends, be like, "Oh, I'm starting a podcast. I do 2 episodes," and it's like they don't do it anymore. And you reach out, why? And, "Oh, I'm too busy. I'm too this." Like, yeah, we're all busy. We all got things going on, but you just have to be committed to just doing something. And otherwise just don't even embark upon the journey, because then you're going to feel like crap because you quit. You know.
Right. Yep. I would say that's definitely part of what keeps me here. I was like, well, I'm not gonna just stop. I started, and then plus, again, as soon as something pops up that I want to run my mouth about, I'm gonna be, right back here. So,
Yeah, my wife told me the other day, she's like, "Babe, you should try look into, like having a co-host or something." So, and it's funny because then you and I have been talking, for over a year now, and I was like, "Man, I'm starting to think about, doing co-host episodes, so it's not just me asking questions. You get different
hmm
perspective, of questions." And
hmm
like you're on my list to co-host along with a few other
that would
people.
be cool.
Yeah, I think it would be really, really neat, I think.
It's definitely always easier for me when I have somebody to go. Well, I mean, I have to chat, but to verbally go back and forth with, it's always easier.
Yep. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. All right, my brother. I'm gonna depart the pattern here. Much love to you, brother. Please tell your daughter that I said hello, and we look forward to hopefully getting this thing together for the 250th Marine Corps birthday. Hoorah!
Yeah.
And to all
Will
your
do.
ride or dies and your dedicated, chats out there, I appreciate, all you guys' comments, of support, and thank you. Thank you very much for making me feel like, I'm part of the team here tonight. I appreciate it.
Definitely. Thank you, Sergeant Major.
All right, my man. We'll talk soon.
Alrighty. Good night. Let me type this to you guys. Thank y'all. All right, y'all. I'm gonna get off because I need to go pee. And I appreciate y'all coming and showing Sergeant Major's support and love and all that stuff. And thanks for always showing me support and love and all that stuff. And y'all have a great. Oh, I missed some comments on here. Y'all have a great evening.